Have you ever wondered about oneness? Like, what the hell does that mean? What does that mean? And you hear this. We are connected. We are all connected. We are all one thing. Well, that's not what it feels like. Clearly, that's not what it feels like out here. Okay? So what is this concept of oneness? Like, what is this thing? Because in reality, it feels like I'm sitting here and my computer's in front of me and there's some noises outside and there's these things going on around me. There's this clear feeling of separation between everything. So how am I supposed to feel that everything is connected? But the interesting thing is, if we think about this, at some point in our history, we came along and started labeling these different things and creating separation, distinction between everything. If you can imagine a tree, let's just say there was no word for a tree. Okay, like we all experience the thing in our environment, but there's just no word for it yet. And finally, someone comes along and says, we're going to call that thing a tree. Okay, let's just say the tree comes first. Okay, the whole big picture comes first, the tree. Then someone else comes along and it's like, how can we understand this thing better? Like, what are the things sticking off of the thing? What we'll call those branches. Okay, those are called branches now. And someone else comes along and it's like, well, there's littler branches sticking off the bigger branches. We'll call those twigs. Twigs, okay? So there's this identification with the different parts, right? There's this stemming from the source and branching out per se. So we started identifying different things and creating the separation to really understand our environment better, right? It's like, well, what about the green things on the tree? Okay, we'll call those leaves, right? The breaking down of the different parts. And if we think about this, a few different questions come to the surface. Like, what happened before we started identifying things and creating that separation? If we stripped away all identification with our environment at this moment, what would that feel like? It's a weird thing to try and think about. Well, that would be one whole experience. If there was no way to identify different things, if there was no names, no labels for things, that would be one full experience. Like looking at my window here, looking out the window, I wouldn't know the difference between the leaves and the house. Everything would be the same experience. And as I try to think about what that conscious experience would be like, my mind gets a little overwhelmed. Like it's being a little pushed beyond the comfort zone there. And in my opinion, this is the most practical view of connectedness, of oneness, right? Like here, if we try and think about these things, we get the sense of the common denominator shared among all things. The collective sense that we're conscious, we're together in this thing, having an experience together, and if we stripped it all down to base form with no names, no labels, no way to identify things as different from one another, then there's no telling how we could be separate. How could two things be separate if there's no way to separate them. And we can start to ponder the significance of language here. Like, if you've ever shared an experience with someone who doesn't speak the same language as you, it's a very different experience from speaking your native tongue, right? Like, if you're with someone and you literally can't speak to them, you can't communicate, then it's just a sense of, well, okay, like, it is what it is, and we're just like sharing this space together. We're just here, and I don't really know what to do, right? It's a different experience. So pretty quickly, we start to see all the ways we like to identify things, identify people, and create new things in our mind. Like, I could take that thing over there, okay? I could take that thing over there. I could take this other thing. I could put it together. I could make a new thing with a new name. And what a fun part about being human. We can create. We're creators, and we've created a lot of things from nothing, from seemingly nothing, right? Like, what a time to be able to create a new identity for yourself, like to upload videos on YouTube, to express yourself in various ways. And it hurts me when people don't see this within themselves. In the middle of nowhere right now, there's a farmer building a farm. There's a guy building his farm. On the other end, there's a girl somewhere on the internet anonymously creating a new identity for herself in digital art. Like, we create things here. It's not like you need to be out here forging different metals. You know? You don't gotta turn into a blacksmith, right? You don't gotta... That's not what this is. It starts at the base form, right? And it stems from within us. It comes from the mind. And we create from that base form, from the source there. And through all of this, in our purest form, right? At that base form, in the background, observing in the background, through all of these ideas and the things we build, there's that shared awareness that if we strip away all of the creations, right, in an instant, and as difficult as that may be to comprehend, we would be having one experience.